The education sector in Nigeria was a major part of 2023, no thanks to the increase in tuition fees as a fallout of the petrol subsidy, which left protests in different universities across the country. However, President Muhammadu Buhari did not meet the global benchmark of allocating 20% of the nation's total budget to the education sector, despite his administration's recording the highest allocation to education in the last 8 years. Nevertheless, the new administration led by President Bola Tinubu made some key policies within the year. Now, News Central's Omolola Ololade tells us more.
The year 2023 began on a calm note as the academic session started intensely, with many students resuming to school after recovering from the 8 months of industrial action last year, disrupting academic activities for that calendar year. The crisis in Nigeria's education sector is not limited to just industrial action. There were issues of poor funding. The budgetary allocation for education in 2021 was 5.7% and 7.2% in 2022, a far cry from the 26% benchmark recommended by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. The 10% allocated to the education sector in 2023 was the highest ever under the Buhari-led administration in 8 years. Will the present administration's recent announcement to allocate 25% of the national budget to the education sector be the game changer the sector needs?
We've all got to start to think about education more holistically than just the federal government of 25%. So for me, it's good at that level, but it's not transcending across the whole state, the whole country.
The issue of payment for education, we've always paid in Nigeria. Oil money changed that and we said everything was free. Now we have to go back to paying. One thing that's clear, forget how we got here. Government cannot do it again.
While Lagos, Akwa Ibom, Delta, Rivers and Imo State topped the chart as the top 5 states with the highest approved budget for education in 2023, Ekiti, Osun, Ebonyi, Nasarawa and Plateau State were at the bottom of the chart as the state with the least approved budget. According to UNESCO, the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria is estimated at about 20 million, although the Nigerian Ministry of Education argued that the number is at 10 million. The 5 states at the top of the chart had about 3.5 million of the country's about 10.2 million out-of-school children, with Kano topping the list at almost 1 million number of out-of-school children. On the other hand, Bayelsa ranks high with the least number of out-of-school children, recording about 53,000 number of out-of-school children in the state. Akwa Ibom may have topped the list of the 5 states with the highest investment in education, but is sadly among the top 5 states with the highest number of out-of-school children in Nigeria.
I don't want to say that it is because it is free that because people tend to not value something that they receive for free, but also, like I said earlier, educating and advocacy. Letting the parents realize the importance of their children having an education is key. And then the teachers having issues with payments and then low morale generally can also affect the students' morale.
2 months ago, the increment in tuition fees due to the economic situation as a fallout of the removal of petrol subsidy in the country left university students protesting in different parts of the country.
We have about 233 million people living in poverty in Nigeria today. So it tells us that 133 million people with this current hike in tuition fee have been disengaged from education. Now, within the rank and file of people who are still working, they are underpaid. So it means an average Nigerian would no longer be able to afford education.
In spite of President Bola Tinubu's reversal of the controversial deduction of 40% of internally generated revenues from federal universities across the country, stakeholders from the education sector are of the opinion that the automatic deduction would not have been possible. Getting enrolled in some of these public and private universities in Nigeria means that students must have gone through examination bodies like the Joint Admission Matriculation Board. The story of Misoma forging JAMB results was in the news earlier this year, raising concerns about the credibility of the examination body.
249 or whatever was actual score wasn't too bad to gain an admission into a school. I think it still has to do with the level of corruption we have in the system, even from the top. So the learners, they watch us, they see what we're doing, and they try to do so too.
However, COVID-19 showed the possibility of learning outside the classroom through technology, and Nigeria has since then embraced the opportunities of digital learning, even though more needs to be done to integrate technology into the country's educational system, especially with government-owned schools.
How can we teach children in distressed areas, children in faraway communities where they don't have access, children who are out of school? I think we really need to seriously think about how we deploy technology. If we deploy the power of technology, a teacher can teach 1 million children. You know that. If we deploy the power of technology, and they will teach and they will learn and they will do well.
President Bola Tinubu this year signed into law the student loan bill aimed at providing easy access to higher education to those who may not have been able to afford it. 2024 will show how tidy and transparent government's plan for the execution of the loan is. It is also a year to measure the effect of the proposed 25% budgetary allocation to education. Omolola, Ololade, reporting for News Central.